Brexit, what will bring the penalty shootout in the British Parliament? Johnson's agreement's success depends on how many MPs vote against their party. Yes, Boris Johnson knows how to surprise. Despite the fact that he adopted kamikaze tactics and resolutely led the country towards a hard Brexit, at the last moment the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom was able to find a compromise with EU leaders. The transaction was announced in the morning of October 17, and in the evening of the same day it was approved by the EU summit. Now the final word is for the British Parliament, where Johnson's coalition partners have already rejected the deal. However, help to the Prime Minister may come from Her Majesty's opposition. Up to 50 members of the Labour Party can support the agreement. Sometimes politics looks more interesting than another football match. England is the founder of football, a country where they love and value a vibrant game with an unexpected outcome. Politics on Albion recently also resembled a good match, where the teams were already exhausted enough and were preparing for the final whistle. However, suddenly the staff of Prime Minister Johnson succeeded in the end to achieve success. Now the UK is waiting for a political penalty shootout. The analogy with a penalty shootout in football is appropriate in this case, since it is this vote that will determine the winner of the fight, which has been going on for 3 years. Either Brexit's team will be able to squeeze the enemy, or, conversely, it will crash, which can finally bury the idea of Britain leaving the EU. In addition, this analogy also fits into the fact that the general infusion of the parties is clear now, but in each of them there may also be those who do not exercise their right to vote as expected from him. And their decisions will determine the winner. But first, let us figure out what votes will be sought from its members of the British Party. Conservatives, of course, are the main backbone of those who will vote in support of Boris Johnson's project. Of the initially elected 318 deputies, only 287 remained in the party. However, these 287 people with an extremely high probability in their entirety will vote as their party decides. In the past, they opposed the Parliament overseeing the decisions of the Conservative Prime Minister on this issue. Now the Tories will not begin to ruin everything that the Prime Minister has achieved. Among them, 28 tough Eurosceptics are guaranteed to perform, whose voices have repeatedly torn the agreements of Theresa May. The group's position was confirmed by the leader of the Radicals, Steve Baker, and their voices, Johnson's undoubted acquisition. Speaking of Conservatives, it is necessary to mention 23 members of the party who were removed from its composition after they did not support Johnson's strict demand to vote against the Brexit control law by the Parliament. These people still have the right to vote. Moreover, they understand that there will no longer be a better chance to restore relations with their party. Most likely, most of the outcasts will vote for the draft agreement. Churchill's unspoken leader, Churchill's grandson Nicholas Soames, announced his support for the project. The vast majority of ex-conservatives are likely to take this position. Nevertheless, at least 3 parliamentarians from among them have already announced that they will vote against. The number of votes against Johnson's project may increase, and each such loss will be a sensitive blow to the positions of the Prime Minister. The main opposition to Johnson's plan will be the Laborites. There are 257 of them in Parliament. However, this is not the most consolidated group, despite the position of party leader Jeremy Corbyn, who said that this agreement is even worse than that of Theresa May. Some of the Labour will support Johnson's project. 2 ex-party members have already expressed their support, and a number of Trudeauics are also ready to rebel against their leader. Their number varies, according to various estimates, from 7 to 50. And, with high probability, it is the number of defectors from the opposition of Her Majesty that will become decisive in the fate of the deal. All nationalist parties are united in a single bloc. They are radically against any exit of Britain from the European Union and will vote against the deal as a whole. The leader of the Scottish National Party, Nicola Sturgeon, has already stated that not a single member of her party will support the agreement, and at the same time accused the Labour Party of not decisively opposing Eurosceptics. Obviously, all 35 members of the Shonep will vote against. In this they will be supported by 4 Welsh nationalists, 15 independent deputies with a pro-European orientation and 1 representative of the Greens. Also in full force will be opposed to the long-standing opponents of Brexit, the Liberal Democrats. However, one defector from their party has already said that he will support this law, but he is likely to remain the only one. 10 deputies from the Ulster Unionist Party deserve special coverage. These are Johnson's long-time coalition allies who supported him even on Brexit's accountability to Parliament, but now they feel betrayed. The deal provides for the preservation of Northern Ireland under unified EU rules and regulations for an indefinite period. This was not expected from Johnson by the Northern Irish loyalists, and they would almost certainly be opposed in full force. According to forecasts of one of the largest English newspapers, the Financial Times, the vote will end with a score of 321-318 in favour of opponents of the transaction. However, one must understand that with such a meagre rupture anything can happen. Especially in conditions when both teams are trying to pull the hesitant parliamentarians to their side until the last second. Britain held her breath with excitement. After all, a penalty shootout is always the most nervous and interesting. And not only in football.